Cain, the firstborn son of Adam and Eve, married one of his close relatives, possibly a sister, in the early days of humanity when such marriages were not forbidden and did not pose genetic risks. This practice continued until much later when God established laws, through Moses, prohibiting close family marriages. The Bible mentions that Adam and Eve had many sons and daughters, creating a large population from which Cain could have chosen a wife. Some argue that Noah's grandchildren and even Abraham and his descendants married close relatives, emphasizing that the prohibition against such marriages came later in the book of Leviticus. It's essential to note that cultural norms and divine commands evolved over time, and practices that were acceptable in one era became forbidden in another. The Bible does not provide specific details about when Cain killed Abel or the age at which this event occurred. Given the extended lifespans of individuals in those times, there could have been a significant number of people living during that period. It's reasonable to assume that Cain married before his banishment, considering the numerous descendants of Adam and Eve mentioned in the Bible. Some theories suggest that Cain's wife may have been from a pre-Adamic human group or that other children were born to Adam and Eve before Cain and Abel. However, these theories lack support in Scripture, and the Bible clearly states that Adam was the first man created. The narrative shifts to Cain's descendants, highlighting the building of the first city, Enoch, and the beginning of various cultural and societal developments. The genealogy of Cain's line includes the first case of polygamy, the initiation of organized animal husbandry, and the development of music and metal crafts. Lamech, a descendant of Cain, boasts about committing murder and exhibits a haughty attitude. The chapter ends with a contrast between the line of Cain and a glimmer of hope in the line of Seth, born to Adam and Eve after the death of Abel. Seth's descendants are characterized by worship and calling on the name of the Lord, reflecting a humble and obedient approach to God. In our own lives, where uncertainties and challenges arise, we seek guidance from God. The stories of Cain and his family remind us of the importance of building meaningful relationships, understanding others, and relying on God's love and grace in our journey through life. As we reflect on the mysteries surrounding Cain and his descendants, we find a broader theme emerging: the tension between human rebellion and the hopeful thread of divine intervention. The narrative serves as a poignant reminder that despite humanity's propensity for disobedience, God's plan and grace persist. The descendants of Cain, symbolized by the building of the city of man and the arrogance of Lamech, depict a trajectory away from God. The city, named after Cain's son Enoch, becomes a symbol of human achievement detached from divine purpose. Lamech's prideful boasting and glorification of violence further underline the deviation from God's intended path. In contrast, the lineage of Seth introduces a glimmer of hope. The birth of Seth, meaning appointed or substitute, symbolizes God's gracious replacement for Abel. This line, characterized by worship and calling on the name of the Lord, stands as a beacon of obedience amid the growing darkness of human rebellion. As we navigate our own journeys through life, we encounter moments of uncertainty, doubt, and even rebellion. The narrative of Cain and Seth invites us to reflect on the choices we make and the paths we follow. Are we building cities centered on our achievements, detached from God's purpose, or are we fostering worship and humility in our lives? The stories of Cain and Seth underscore the importance of relationships and the impact they have on our spiritual journey. Cain's descendants, driven by pride and self-centeredness, lead to a dead end, a story that fades into obscurity. On the other hand, Seth's line, marked by worship and reverence for God, sets the stage for a narrative that will continue through generations. In the broader biblical context, these narratives foreshadow the unfolding plan of redemption. God, in His infinite wisdom, will ultimately provide a remedy for the brokenness introduced by sin. The lineage of Seth, leading to righteous figures like Noah, becomes a precursor to the covenant that God establishes with humanity to ensure its restoration. As we continue our pilgrimage through life, let us consider the legacies we are building. Are we constructing cities of self-centered achievement, or are we nurturing environments where worship, humility, and obedience thrive? Just as God intervened in the midst of human rebellion in the days of Cain and Seth, we can trust in His faithfulness to guide us and bring about redemption in our own stories.